A quiet Sunday afternoon on Route 47 changed everything when a silver BMW swerved deliberately into the shoulder and hit a golden retriever that was limping along the roadside. The dog yelped and collapsed. The BMW didn't even slow down. But 12 Harley-Davidson motorcycles saw everything. They were riding back from a veterans' charity event, tired but content, when they witnessed the hit. What happened next would make headlines for weeks and restore people's faith in rough-looking strangers with big hearts. The leader, a man everyone called Hammer, raised his fist. All 12 bikes roared to life, accelerating after the BMW. The driver, a man in an expensive suit talking loudly on his phone, didn't notice the wall of leather and chrome forming behind him. He didn't notice until Hammer's bike pulled alongside his window. The other 11 bikes surrounded the BMW completely, forcing it to slow down. The driver, whose name was later revealed to be Bradley Thornton, finally looked up from his phone call. His face went from annoyed to scared in 2 seconds flat. "Pull over," Hammer mouthed through the window. Bradley shook his head and tried to speed up. Bad decision. The bikers didn't let him. They boxed him in perfectly, controlling his speed, guiding him toward the shoulder. Bradley had no choice but to stop or cause an accident. He chose to stop, probably thinking he could talk his way out of whatever this was. He rolled down his window 3 inches. "What do you want?" he demanded. His voice shook, despite trying to sound authoritative. "You hit a dog back there," Hammer said calmly. "So what? It's just a dog," Bradley replied. "It shouldn't have been on the road." Several bikers had to be held back by hand signals from Hammer. Just a dog wasn't the right thing to say to men who'd seen their brothers die overseas, who understood loyalty and innocence better than most. "That dog is hurt and possibly dying because you hit it on purpose," Hammer continued. "I saw you swerve into the shoulder." Bradley's face changed. "You can't prove anything. Plus, I'm late for a very important meeting. My time is worth more than some stray animal." Hammer took a deep breath. He'd dealt with entitled people before, but this was different. This wasn't just rudeness. This was genuine lack of empathy. "Get out of the car," Hammer said quietly. The quiet was more terrifying than yelling. "I don't have to do anything you say," Bradley shot back. "You're not police. You're just thugs on motorcycles trying to intimidate me. I could call the cops right now." "Please do," said a biker named Doc. "Tell them you deliberately hit an animal and fled the scene. That's animal cruelty, a felony in this state." Bradley's confidence wavered. He looked at the 12 men surrounding his car, then at his phone. He started dialing 911. Before he could press call, Hammer spoke again. "We already called. They're sending animal control and a deputy. Should be here in about 10 minutes. But that dog might not have 10 minutes. Bradley finally looked uncertain. "What do you want from me?" "Come back with us, look at what you did, and help us save that dog's life," Hammer stated. "If it needs a vet, you're paying for it. And if it dies, Bradley, we're pressing charges." "This is ridiculous," Bradley protested. "I'll lose my job if I'm late to this meeting." "You'll lose more than your job if that dog dies because you wouldn't help," Doc said coldly. "We have your license plate, your face, and 12 witnesses who saw you swerve deliberately. Judge Thompson loves dogs. He'll throw the book at you." Bradley knew he was trapped. "Fine," he snapped, "but make it quick." They escorted his BMW back to where the dog lay. 2 bikers had stayed behind, a woman named Angel and a young guy called Preacher. Angel was kneeling beside the golden retriever, her hands gentle on its fur. The dog was breathing but barely conscious. Bradley got out of his car reluctantly. He stayed far back, looking disgusted. "That's what all this is about," he said dismissively. "It's old and probably sick anyway. I probably did it a favor." Angel stood up slowly. Her face was streaked with tears, but her eyes were pure steel. "This dog has a collar," she said quietly. "She has a name. Her name is Daisy, and she belongs to someone. There's a phone number. Bradley shrugged. So call them. Tell them their dog ran into traffic. I did call them, Angel continued. They live 3 miles from here. Their fence broke last night and Daisy got out. They've been searching for her all morning. They're on their way now. Bradley checked his watch again. Great. So they can deal with it. I'm leaving. You're not going anywhere, Hammer said, stepping in front of him. Not until the owners arrive and animal control documents everything. This is kidnapping, Bradley threatened. I'll sue all of you. Preacher laughed. It's not kidnapping, it's citizen's arrest. We're detaining you until authorities arrive because you committed a crime and tried to flee. He pulled out his phone, showing the video. I recorded everything, including you admitting you hit the dog. Bradley's face went pale. You can't use that. Says who? Doc asked. He was a lawyer before he became a biker, by the way. That video is perfectly admissible. You weren't informed you were being recorded, Bradley stammered. Don't need to, Doc replied. We're in a public place with no expectation of privacy. Plus, animal cruelty cases don't require two-party consent for recordings. Bradley realized he'd walked into something much bigger than he expected. He thought he could intimidate some bikers, pay a small fine maybe, and go on with his day. Instead, he was surrounded by 12 people who knew the law better than he did and cared more about a dying dog than his important meeting. The sound of a pickup truck screeching to a halt made everyone turn. An elderly couple jumped out, the woman already crying. Daisy! The woman screamed. She ran to the dog, collapsing beside Angel. Oh, God, what happened to her? This man hit her with his car and tried to drive away, Angel explained gently. We stopped him. The elderly man, probably in his 70s, looked at Bradley with such pain and anger that even the bikers felt it. You did this? The old man asked. Bradley opened his mouth, but nothing came out. The old man walked toward him slowly. Daisy has been with us for 12 years. She was with my wife through cancer. She was with me after our son died in Afghanistan. She's not just a dog to us, she's family. Bradley finally found his voice. I'm sorry, he mumbled, but it was on the road and I was in a hurry. You were in a hurry, the old man repeated. My wife is dying, Mr. Thornton. She has maybe 6 months left. Daisy was supposed to be there with her through it, and you were in a hurry. How did you know my name? Bradley asked stupidly. Your license plate, Doc said. We ran it while we were waiting. Also found out you have 3 previous incidents of reckless driving and 1 dismissed animal cruelty charge from 2 years ago. You hit a cat in a parking lot and claimed it jumped in front of you. That was different, Bradley protested weakly. Was it? Hammer asked. Or do you just not care about anything that inconveniences you? The sound of sirens announced the arrival of animal control and a sheriff's deputy. The deputy, a middle-aged woman named Officer Martinez, assessed the situation quickly. 12 bikers, 1 terrified man in a suit, 1 injured dog, and 2 elderly people crying. She'd seen stranger things, but not many. Someone want to explain what's happening here, she asked. Everyone started talking at once. Officer Martinez held up her hand. One at a time, Hammer stepped forward and explained everything calmly, showing her preacher's video. Officer Martinez watched it 3 times. Mr. Thornton, she said, is this your silver BMW? Yes, but I can explain, Bradley started. I'm sure you can, she interrupted. But first, let's deal with the injured animal. The animal control officer, a kind-faced man named Tony, was already examining Daisy. She needs emergency surgery, Tony announced. Possible internal bleeding and definitely a broken leg. Without treatment, she'll die within hours. How much? The elderly man asked. He was already reaching for his wallet with shaking hands. Could be $3,000 to $5,000, Tony said gently. The old man's face fell. We don't have that kind of money right now. All our savings went to my wife's treatments. Bradley saw his chance to escape. That's unfortunate, but it's not my responsibility. I'll pay whatever fine Officer Martinez gives me, but I'm not paying for surgery for a dog that shouldn't have been on the road. The temperature dropped. 12 bikers took a step toward Bradley. Officer Martinez stepped between them. "Stand down," she commanded. "Let me handle this." She turned to Bradley. "Mr. Thornton, I'm charging you with animal cruelty, reckless driving, and leaving the scene of an accident. That's 3 misdemeanors and 1 felony. The felony carries up to 5 years and a $10,000 fine." "I didn't know it was a felony," Bradley said weakly. "Ignorance of the law isn't a defense," Officer Martinez replied. "However, the judge might be lenient if you cooperate fully. That means paying for all veterinary expenses related to this incident." "That's not fair," Bradley protested. "Fair," Angel spoke up, "is a family getting their dog back healthy. Fair is you taking responsibility for what you deliberately did." Bradley looked around. He was surrounded by people who hated him, a cop who wasn't on his side, and a growing crowd of stopped motorists who'd heard what happened. Someone was filming on their phone. This was going to be all over social media in hours. His boss would see it. His colleagues would see it. His carefully constructed image of success would crumble. "Fine," he said finally. "I'll pay for the surgery, but I want it in writing that this settles the matter." "Not how it works," Officer Martinez said. "You're still being charged. The judge will decide your sentence. The vet bills are just restitution, separate from your criminal charges." Bradley looked like he might cry. "This is going to ruin me." "You should have thought about that before you hit a dog and drove away," Hammer said without sympathy. Tony loaded Daisy carefully into his vehicle. "I'm taking her to Northside Emergency Vet. They're the best. I'll call ahead so they're ready." The elderly woman touched his arm. "Thank you," she whispered. "Please save her." "We'll do everything we can, ma'am," Tony promised. "Mr. Thornton, I'll need your credit card information for the deposit." Bradley handed over his platinum card like it burned his fingers. The deposit alone was $1,500. Officer Martinez put Bradley in handcuffs. "You'll be processed at the station and released on your own recognizance since these aren't violent crimes. But you will appear before Judge Thompson next month." "The same judge who loves dogs," Doc reminded him. Bradley closed his eyes. His important meeting was definitely missed by now. As Officer Martinez led Bradley to her patrol car, the elderly man approached the bikers. "I don't know how to thank you," he said. His voice broke. "You didn't have to do this." "We couldn't not do it," Hammer replied. "We saw something wrong and we stopped it. That's what decent people do." "But you're strangers," the old woman said. "You risked your time and safety for our dog." "We're veterans, ma'am," Preacher explained quietly. "We know what it means to have a loyal companion. Dogs were our friends overseas. They saved our lives more than once. We couldn't let someone hurt one and get away with it." The crowd that had gathered started clapping. Someone shouted, "God bless you guys." Another person took photos. By evening, the story was everywhere. Bikers stop hit-and-run driver who hit dog. The video went viral. Millions of views. Comments poured in with support for the Iron Souls Motorcycle Club and condemnation for Bradley Thornton. Bradley's employer, a prestigious law firm, saw the video. They fired him immediately for conduct unbecoming. His neighbors saw it. His family saw it. His girlfriend broke up with him via text. But the story wasn't over. Daisy's surgery was successful. 3 days later, the elderly couple brought her to the Iron Souls clubhouse to thank the bikers in person. Daisy was bandaged and moving slowly, but her tail wagged when she saw the people who'd saved her. The bikers knelt down to pet her carefully. Even Hammer, the tough club president, had tears in his eyes. "We took up a collection," Angel announced. "The club members contributed $3,000 to cover your future vet bills and medications." The elderly couple refused. "You've done too much already." "It's already done," Doc said firmly. "The money's in an account in Daisy's name. Use it for her care." The old woman hugged each biker, crying. When she got to Hammer, she held his face in her hands. "My son would have loved you all," she whispered. He believed in standing up for those who can't protect themselves. That's what you did. Thank you for being the kind of man he was. Hammer lost his composure completely. He hugged her back, this tiny, elderly woman and this giant, scarred biker, and everyone looked away to give them privacy. Before they left, the old man handed Hammer an envelope. Inside was a photograph of a young Marine in dress uniform, smiling at the camera. He looked so much like Preacher it was startling. "That's our son, David," the old man said. "He died in Kandahar in 2012. Roadside bomb. Daisy was his dog first. He sent her home to us before his last deployment. She's all we have left of him." Now, Hammer understood why they'd chased down Bradley so relentlessly. It wasn't just about a dog. It was about protecting the living memory of a fallen brother in arms. "We'll check on Daisy regularly," Hammer promised. "If you need anything at all, you call us." The couple left with their dog, and the clubhouse was quiet. Finally, Angel spoke. "That could have gone differently. We could have let him drive away. But we didn't," Hammer said, "and that makes all the difference." Bradley Thornton's court date arrived. Judge Thompson read the charges and watched the video. His face grew darker with each second. "Mr. Thornton," the judge said, "I've been on this bench for 23 years. I've seen a lot of cruelty. But deliberately hitting an animal and showing no remorse until you were forced to pay is particularly disturbing." "Your Honor," Bradley's lawyer started. "Save it," Judge Thompson interrupted. "I'm sentencing you to 1 year in county jail, suspended pending completion of 200 hours of community service at the Riverside Animal Shelter. You'll also pay $5,000 in fines, cover all veterinary expenses, and be on probation for 3 years. Any violation and you serve the full year. Furthermore, you're prohibited from owning any pets for 10 years. The courtroom erupted in applause. The 12 bikers were there, sitting in the back row. They didn't cheer. They just nodded. Justice had been served. Bradley completed his community service. Working at the animal shelter changed him, slowly. He'd never spent time around animals before. Didn't understand them. Didn't think they mattered much. But day after day, cleaning kennels, feeding dogs and cats, walking them, playing with them, something shifted. He learned their personalities, learned that the old pit bull named Brutus was gentle with children, that the 3-legged cat named Tripod could outrun any other cat in the place, that the shelter director, a woman named Rosa, had dedicated 40 years to saving animals most people had given up on. 6 months into his service, Bradley asked Rosa a question. "Why do you do this? The work's hard, the pay's terrible, and half these animals won't find homes." Rosa looked at him carefully. "Because every life matters, Mr. Thornton. Every creature deserves kindness, safety, and love. Just because something can't speak our language or advocate for itself doesn't mean it has less value." That's when Bradley finally understood what he'd done. He'd hurt something innocent because it inconvenienced him, had treated a life as worthless because it wasn't human. The weight of that realization crushed him. He started volunteering extra hours beyond his required service, started donating money, started fostering dogs that needed temporary homes. His fancy apartment became filled with dog beds, toys, and the sound of barking. His new girlfriend was a vet tech who'd heard his story and somehow saw something redeemable in him. She helped him understand animal behavior, medical care, proper nutrition. A year after his sentencing, Bradley showed up at the Iron Souls clubhouse. The bikers were immediately suspicious. Hammer met him at the door. "What do you want?" he asked coldly. "To apologize," Bradley said, "and to show you something." He pulled out his phone and showed them pictures of his apartment filled with foster dogs. "I've fostered 17 dogs this year, helped 12 find permanent homes. I volunteer at Riverside every weekend. I donated $20,000 to cover medical expenses for shelter animals." Hammer studied him. "Why are you telling us this?" "Because you were right," Bradley said simply. "I was selfish and cruel, and I didn't care about anything but myself. What I did to Daisy was unforgivable. But I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be someone my actions didn't show I was." Doc spoke up. How's Daisy? Bradley smiled slightly. I visit her every month. Her owners let me. She's doing great. Still has a slight limp, but otherwise healthy. Her owner, Mrs. Patterson, she's in hospice now. The bikers went quiet. We know, Angel said softly. We visit too. Bradley nodded. She told me. She said I should come here and thank you all for stopping me that day, for making me face what I did. She said you gave me a chance to become better, even if I didn't deserve it. Hammer considered this. Then he did something nobody expected. He extended his hand. Bradley shook it, tears running down his face. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Bradley said. What I did can't be undone. But I wanted you to know that your actions that day changed more than just Daisy's fate. They changed mine too. You showed me what real courage and compassion look like. The bikers invited him in for coffee. They didn't become friends that day. Trust isn't built that quickly, but they saw that people can change, that sometimes forcing someone to confront their worst self can lead to them finding their best self. Mrs. Patterson died 3 months later with her husband and Daisy beside her. The Iron Souls attended the funeral, as did Bradley. After the service, Mr. Patterson approached Bradley. Susan wanted me to give you this. He handed Bradley a letter written in shaky handwriting. Dear Mr. Thornton, it read, I forgive you, not because what you did was okay, but because I see who you're becoming. You could have stayed bitter and angry about being caught. Instead, you let it transform you. That takes courage. Please continue caring for animals who need you. Do it in memory of Daisy, who survived because 12 strangers refused to let cruelty win. And do it for yourself, because helping others heal helps us heal too. Signed, Susan Patterson. Bradley kept that letter in his wallet. Whenever he felt frustrated or tired from his volunteer work, he'd read it. A year later, he quit his job at a new law firm and went back to school for veterinary medicine. It would take years, but he didn't care. He'd found his purpose. The Iron Soul's story spread far beyond that one incident. They became known as the bikers who protected animals. People started calling them when they saw abuse or neglect. They'd show up, document everything, contact authorities, and make sure justice happened. They saved dozens of animals over the next few years. Angel started a nonprofit called Daisy's Hope that provided emergency veterinary care for people who couldn't afford it. The Iron Souls fundraised tirelessly. They held charity rides, poker runs, and benefit concerts. They raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. Daisy herself became a therapy dog, visiting hospitals and nursing homes with Mr. Patterson. She'd survived trauma and somehow understood that others needed comfort. Children going through cancer treatment would bury their faces in her soft fur and feel peace. Veterans with PTSD would sit with her for hours, finding solace in her gentle presence. The story of what happened on Route 47 that Sunday afternoon became legendary in their community. It proved that heroes don't always look like what you expect. Sometimes they wear leather and ride motorcycles. Sometimes they have tattoos and scars and look like the people you'd cross the street to avoid. But when it mattered, when an innocent creature needed help, they didn't hesitate. They didn't worry about being late or inconvenienced. They saw something wrong, and they stopped it. 5 years after the incident, the local news did a follow-up story. They interviewed everyone involved. Bradley, now in his 3rd year of veterinary school, spoke about how one moment of cruelty led to years of redemption. The Iron Souls talked about how standing up for those who can't defend themselves is the most important thing anyone can do. Mr. Patterson, now in his 80s, brought Daisy, now 17 years old and moving slowly but still happy. She's lived longer than expected, he told the camera. The vet said it's because she's loved so much, because she has so many people who fought for her that day. The reporter asked Hammer the obvious question. Do you think about that day often? Every time I ride past that spot, Hammer admitted. I think about what would have happened if we hadn't been there. If we just kept riding, Daisy would have died alone on that roadside. Bradley would never have been forced to confront his cruelty. Sometimes I wonder how many other incidents like that happen when nobody's watching. That's why we keep watching. That's why we keep stopping. The interview ended with Daisy surrounded by the 12 bikers who'd saved her, with Bradley kneeling beside them, with Mr. Patterson's hand on Hammer's shoulder. The image was powerful because it showed how one act of courage creates ripples that spread far beyond that single moment. How choosing to care, to stop, to help, transforms everyone involved. The caption under the photo read, "12 bikers, 1 dog, and the day everything changed." But perhaps the most important part of the story is what it teaches about second chances and first impressions. Bradley learned that wealth and status mean nothing if you lack compassion. The bikers showed that rough exteriors often protect the kindest hearts. Daisy proved that survival is possible when others refuse to let you fall. And everyone learned that the most important thing any of us can do is stop when we see someone who needs help. That's what real strength looks like, not in how much power you have, but in how you use that power to protect the powerless. Not in looking tough, but in being gentle with those who are vulnerable. Not in being right, but in doing right. The story of the bikers who surrounded a man who hit a dog isn't really about dogs or motorcycles or even justice. It's about the choice we all face every day when we see something wrong. Do we keep going? Tell ourselves it's not our problem? Convince ourselves we're too busy or it doesn't matter? Or do we stop, get involved, and refuse to let cruelty win? 12 bikers made that choice on a quiet Sunday afternoon. And because they did, countless lives changed for the better. That's the real surprise, not what they did, but what their actions created. A ripple of compassion that's still spreading 5 years later, touching more lives than anyone could have imagined.